It's been a little while since we did granola, I think since March, because that was the last time that Phil could eat any. But he's eating it again, and so I'm making it again. And we are going to bring you guys throughout the months some different recipes that we use for granola, and I hope that you like them. Now, in March, I did a cranberry orange granola. Oh, it was so good. Yes. And so that video will be linked down below for you in case you want to go check it out. But today was busy. These are so easy to put together that it takes literally just a matter of minutes once you pull out the ingredients. I have a cranberry pecan. That's this one here. And some of it stays kind of chunky monkey, which is cool, right? Super good. This one is actually a little bit sweeter, which I was surprised. But this one I've been so looking forward to. And I'm happy about the fact that it's not as sweet as its normal variations are. This is a carrot cake granola. So hang out with me. I'm going to walk you through making them. They're super quick, super easy. And granola, yes, so good. Okay, my friends, we're going to make some carrot cake granola. First, you're going to grab yourself a nice big bowl because that makes the whole process a whole bunch easier. You can do 2 cups of old-fashioned oats or instant oats, rolled oats, whatever the case may be. I did 1 cup of chopped walnuts and 1 cup of chopped pecans because I had them. So if you only have one kind of nut, just, make it 2 cups of nuts if that's how many you want in there. Some shredded coconut, that's optional, totally optional. So if you don't like it, definitely you don't have to add it. That's probably one of my favorite parts about granola is make it the way you like it, okay? I had some golden raisins that I wanted to use up, so I put those in instead of, regular raisins. And then I added my spices. So I've got ground ginger, ground nutmeg, a pinch of clove, and some cinnamon. And those are going to give you that amazing carrot cake flavor. And it does not take very much of any of it at all. Next, my favorite part is the carrots. Okay, these legitimately are my dehydrated carrots. And I just refreshed them, made sure they got really soft. And they work perfectly. If you don't have those, go get yourself a bag of shredded carrots from the Wally World, right? Next, there was a 1/2 cup of melted coconut oil that I put in there. And then I put in a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. If you would rather, you can add honey, but I think the maple syrup gives it just exactly the flavor that we're looking for. One thing that I seem to always forget is a little pinch of salt. So it's about a 1/2 teaspoon. It just really does help enhance the flavor. That's what salt does, And then we just get to mixing. And because this is a lot of dry ingredients, you do want to take time to get that all mixed together and incorporated. It's going to take you a minute. You're going to think that you're not actually making any headway, but I promise that you are. Number one, the carrots, whether they are refreshed or whether they're fresh, shredded from the store or shredded there at home, they do have some moisture, so that will help also. But altogether, there's only like a 1/2 cup of moisture added to all of that stuff. So it's literally just going to coat, the stuff that's in there, the oatmeal and the nuts and all of that fine stuff, and it pulls together and binds it with those really great spices. And there's the salt that I forgot. Okay, so that looks like more than what it was. It was only about a 1/2 teaspoon. But you just want to get it all mixed in there because you don't want any parts that aren't, taken care of. Next, we get it out onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. That just makes cleanup a little bit easier. It makes it keep from sticking. You want to spread it out as evenly as you can. Now remember that between the raisins and the carrots, there's moisture in there. And so we're going to put it in the oven, and that's when it comes out right there. So do you see the steam? That is for the first half. You're going to bake it for half of the time, and then you're going to go in there and mix it up, and you're going to get it all moved around. And that keeps it from browning up in one spot particularly and not all the way. But in addition to that, it also helps release the steam from the carrots and the raisins. And I'll tell you what, it smells amazing, my friends. It smells so good. So we put it back in there for the second half of the time, and now we pull it out, and it's a little more crisped up. It's kind of hard with the morning light, but it browned up very nicely, and we're just going to stir it some more, offset some more of that steam that might be in there, hiding with the carrots and the raisins, because it's going to sit there and it's going to rest and it's going to cool off to room temperature before I put it in a container. You don't want to trap that steam because then you'll just have a mushy mess, and nobody wants a mushy mess when they go to get their granola. Next up, we are starting the cranberry pecan granola. So good. I love dried cranberries. So this is 3 cups of rolled oats, again, using the same bowl. And then 1.5 cups of chopped raw pecans. You just want them raw because they're gonna roast in the oven, right? I added in 2 tablespoons of flaxseed because it's good for you. And then some more shredded coconut, totally up to you whether or not you want to add that, sweetened or unsweetened. I put unsweetened, and so I think maybe that might be why it's a little less sweet. A tablespoon of cinnamon, and then we add some brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar or brown sugar like Swerve, and then the salt. Don't forget about your salt, okay? And then vanilla extract because it's good. That's why. And then we're going to add in the cranberries. Cranberries, they are so good, okay? And then it gets a little tricky. So we're going to add in maple syrup. Again, you can use honey if you would rather use honey, but I find that the maple syrup adds a really great flavor to it. And so I like having that around. And next, we add in the oil. And I literally just grabbed my olive oil. Yeah, because that's me. You can use coconut oil instead. Just make sure it's melted. But I figured olive oil is already melted. It's one less thing I got to deal with. Same thing applies here. You're going to mix and mix and mix and mix because there's much more liquid than there is dry ingredients. And in this one's instance, I think that was more noticeable. It took me a little bit longer to get it all mixed in, but it was doable and super good. So you're just going to keep mixing it. Make sure you're integrating all of the dry spices and you're getting everything to touch some kind of liquid form. And again, remember, the cranberries are moisture. They're still moisture, even though they're dried. There's 17% moisture, I think. So you'll get some help from there too. Then you're going to do the same thing, dump it out onto your parchment-lined baking sheet and go about spreading it out. Yes. And you can see this one does look drier than the other one, but that's okay. That's okay. It's just the way that it works sometimes. You know, you're getting in there for the flavor, and it's a beautiful thing. Then we're going to pop this in the oven for half the time. See, the other one's sitting there cooling. And out of the oven comes the other granola. See, there's a little temperature difference there, and the steam is still coming up off of that. So you're just going to give it a good mixture. Not as much steam because it doesn't have the carrots, right? But it's still steaming and it's still hot, and you want to make sure that you're spreading it out so that it gets all nice and toasty and brown and delicious. Back into the oven it goes for the rest of the time. And now we're going to try, while that is working on that, we're going to try to get all of that granola into this container. Spoiler alert, I don't make it, okay? But you can find any kind of airtight container and put it in there. Had I been thinking, I could have probably just grabbed a big spatula or a big spoon and, you know, faked my way into it. But I was going to try to be MacGyverish here and use the parchment paper. And yeah, I just needed one more hand and a bigger container and, you know, the whole deal. But it happened. We made it. And it was totally worth it. By this time, that is all completely dry. There's no moisture in the carrots. There's no moisture in the raisins. You know, it's not that they're dry, crunchy. It's just not wet like you would get straight out of the oven. You want to make sure that you're letting it dry. And we're going to put the rest of that into another container. Look at me here, finally figuring out what it is I got to do. And so just grab a spatula, scoop it in there. But it really is easier for cleanup with the parchment paper. Is it necessary? No, but it is kind of a pain to get those raisins off of the baking sheet if they have a possibility of drying on there. Oops, got to do a taste test. Got to do a taste test. And here we have a close-up of the cranberry pecan. And this toasted up real nice, not too done, you know, but that's a preference. If you prefer it darker, go darker. If you don't, don't. So which one do you think is your favorite, huh? Do you think the cranberry pecan or the carrot cake? If you wanted to sweeten this up a little bit more, you could add like 2-3 tablespoons of brown sugar or brown sugar substitute, right? And that would sweeten this up a little bit more. But honestly, I like it the way that it is. I like the fact that it's not that overpowering sweetness that carrot cake normally is. And the fact that it has real carrots in it. Yeah, I'm really easy to amuse. I am trying to use up as many of the nuts in my freezer as I can because I want the space. And so this is a great way to use them. They're a great thing to chew on. They give you that crunch. They give you that protein. They give you that healthy fat. Nuts are good. And so I love putting them into granola. We serve this by the handful, okay? Or we put it over yogurt. You can put it on ice cream. If you were so inclined, you could put a little bit of milk over it and eat it like a breakfast cereal. And it's better for you than most of the breakfast cereals. Add it to your oatmeal. Yeah, that'd be a little weird. But do whatever you do. How do you eat your granola? Throw it in the comment section down below. Until next time, everybody, be safe. Keep stacking it to the rafters, my friends.